Okay, we're back, I think, maybe. Let me check this. Okay, so we'll just step through this again from the beginning. Good thing I made that mistake early on. Let me mute myself so I don't have to hear myself talk. So, okay, here's Ren'Py, we'll launch this. So, in one of my recent videos, I had, let's see, YouTube, or we just look up Attack of the Mutant Lawnmowers, YouTube search. But I showed a little bit of the cutscene from the RenPy remake that I'm doing. Let's see. So either of these work. So I just started to remake it, and I thought it'd be easy to do as a visual novel, and I just started this in November to kind of get some practice, and then school got busy, and so I stopped working on it, and now it's like I don't really want to get everyone working on stuff when it's like close to Christmas, and I have a vacation coming up, so I will be just working on this for fun, mostly. So, let me do one thing over here really quick. Everything is slow, because OBS kind of slows things down while I'm trying to have GIMP open and other stuff, and internet tabs. So, using RenPy to make Attack of the Mutant Lawnmowers. So it'll probably end up being mostly game art, because that kind of takes a lot of time. But I could do like programmer art and then go back and fix it up later. But yeah, so excuse me. Let me put GIMP over here for now. So when we start the game, it shows some text, and some characters come on the screen, and there's just dialogue, and later on there will be some branching paths, but this is just the intro. So when you create a project in RenPy, which is what I pronounce it like, but I think people probably think it's RenPy, which makes sense because it's Python, but the way it's spelled just makes me want to say RenPy. So, but I don't know. Anyway, it'll create this game folder for you, and you really don't have to worry about a lot of this. It does keep like a log file, and it generates this script file and some options. You really don't have to worry about the options text. It's just there if you wanted to customize it a little bit. Like, for example, I made my game 1280 by 720 instead of like the normal kind of smaller TV-sized resolution. You can set your program name and config version, and it has tools for pulling out text so you can translate it, and other things. There's the tutorial that comes with it, and then there's pretty good documentation. So if you're interested in it, it's really easy to get started, and then there's a lot of stuff to use to customize it further. Like you can write Pygame, or you can create your own custom menus, which I've done slightly, and I'll show that in a little bit. So this is, you could just kind of open up the script file and start coding immediately, but I like to keep things organized. So I've added onto this, but let's say, I mean, you just need the file that says label start, and you could start putting dialogue here. But because I like to split things up, I've moved, I created a scenes folder with more RenPy script files. I have an assets folder. I have this game data file that I made. So when the game starts, it calls init game data, and then it jumps to the actual game. So in the init game data, this is what your loading image files will look like in RenPy. So you'll have background images, and you just set them to like black and spaceship and all these other ones. Down here is where you define your characters. So let's see, what am I doing here? I'm just setting the name that pops up over here and the color of their name that shows up. So this person shows up as yellow. And then to set their character images, you have like, this is all the same. Yeah, it's not quite the same name. It's kind of a, when I was making the game, I know when I was making the game as a 12-year-old, I definitely had a specific person in mind when I was creating this character. So in the code. I actually kind of like left it that way, but okay, just ignore that. So yeah, we're just creating images for each of the characters, and then there's some image flipping and transforming special functions if you wanted to do that. And then I just have a special function I put down here to get the mouse X and Y coordinates, because I have that battle system in the original game, but I have not programmed that here for this game. But I figured I'd just like have you click on the lawnmower a bunch. So we can ignore that. But I have my scenes in here. We'll open up intro.rpy. So you just have labels, and I just say, well, we're showing the scene. Well, we start at black, and we show this yellow text to begin with. And you can add new line characters in the same double quotes and set the color inline. And then we have scene, background, spaceship bar with a fade effect. Show this person at the left and the right, and then kind of just write out the script, just like that. And you can add special like pause, other types of effect, like it'll wipe whenever we're done with this scene. Oh, and you can also, when you move the characters on or off screen, you can either do fades, or you can do suddenly appear, or these swipes, and you can define your own custom animations as well. So, like, that was some sort of, let's see, vertical punch animation whenever I changed the lawnmower sprite. And now it'll go off screen that way. And so this is still part of the intro. I changed the background image. You just play a sound effect and just, you know, change the character art and use the transitions to kind of make some animation going on. Lawnmower. Oh no. Then, like, kind of a crappy chase scene. And I'm going to have to improve the background art maybe, but that's a pretty Spartan bedroom. And then a battle happens, which I haven't coded yet. And then we just have it kind of come back in. That was intense. Yeah, I mean, it's Python, so I just kind of think of it... I assume it's going to be RenPy, but it's not how it looks like. Before this thing wakes up again. Okay, so this is where the game part actually starts. So if I open up my video, this was the old version, and after you get attacked by the lawnmower, which, okay, I'm showing the intro part here, you do the little lawnmower battle, and then you have to walk around your house and look for stuff. So I was adding a little bit more on, because at this point you're only looking for a knife, but I figured, well, maybe you need to get your wallet and some other things. So let's see. Find a weapon, find your wallet, and escape the apartment. So now you have a branch like this. So I've put this part in chapter 1 apartment code. And if we look at this, we got, I have just a couple of Boolean variables. I just set those right here. If I were using them throughout the entire game, I would put them in the game data, which I might end up doing later, but at the moment, to get out of the apartment, you have to have your wallet and you have to have your weapon. So I've just gone ahead and said these are both false when you start the label. Shows the hallway, shows that intro text, and then I'm going to keep coming back here after you're done with each room, so I put a label right here because it'll have to return there. So you do use go-tos or jumps or whatever, so it can be a little bit spaghetti code, but just try to keep it clean, I guess. So this to-do list here, that's a custom UI element, and you don't have to know how to do this. And you can also find help online on message boards for how to do this, but this was just something I wanted to have in there. I'm not much of a story writer, so I end up liking just extending, adding extra code, and making things fancy more than coming up with stories, because they're always horrible and full of plot holes. So then we just have this menu. You just call it with menu. You show the menu options, and then you can add dialogue options in here, but I just have these all jumping to separate places because, again, clean code, easy to follow. So you can go to the bathroom, kitchen, living room, or apartment. And at the moment, I only have, I think, the kitchen background drawn, which is from a photograph of my own kitchen. So let's go down here, kitchen, to-do list, and then I don't really have any of the dialogue written. It just kind of gives you the weapon, and then it goes back, and now it has a little check mark there. And I can't leave, because then the character will say I have to find my wallet. So, yeah, kind of placeholders at the moment. So, oh, okay, yeah, it's this time to GTFO, but even though nothing happened in those scenes, it kind of just toggled those switches anyway. So if we look at, yeah, changing the wallet to true. And here's our leave apartment logic. So if you have the wallet, well, if you don't have the wallet and you don't have the weapon, it'll say that you need both. If you don't have the wallet, it'll say you need your wallet. If you don't have your weapon, it'll say you need a weapon. And otherwise, if you happen to have both, then you can leave and it goes to the next scene. Well, it would go to the next scene, but at the moment it doesn't because I haven't coded that. So, one of the ways I kind of like to build games, like you could go for a breadth based approach where you do a lot of stuff and then like just kind of do all of the placeholders and kind of flesh out the entire game and then go back and like kind of add on to each part to improve it and polish it up. Or you can kind of go for depth where you like, I don't know, I just kind of like to make the game as the player would be going through the game, and not that that's the best approach, but it just helps me kind of see in my mind's eye what I'm expecting. So that's why I've been starting it from the intro and then going forward, and now I need to work on the bathroom and living room, and really I need to figure out how any of the script story bits are going to work, because So let's go ahead and do the kitchen script, just because that shouldn't take long, but again, I'm just not, stories aren't my strong suit. So let's say you go to the kitchen, and actually I might have a load game. I don't know how many save games. Dang, okay. Well, I can also use this mouse wheel to scroll backwards through time. So I'm going to save my game right here. Well, it looks like I have multiple saves, but number 3, so I can come back and go back to the kitchen when I want. Okay, so how do we make this a little bit more interactive? And of course, if you played some visual novels, it's like tons of text, and then once in a while you get to say something. But since this was originally meant to be more of an adventure game, I thought, you know, it's self-enclosed. It's not going to branch the story out into a huge tree if I add some extra options of, like, how you search your apartment. So that's not a big deal. And actually, let me open up GIMP really quick. So what I'm thinking in my mind is a lot of games that are visual novels or like choose your own adventures, you know, you kind of start and then you have one choice and it branches off into whole different things you could do. And sometimes there's like a loop where you can do 2 things, but then they end up doing the same result and all of that. And this is really where building visual novels gets kind of time consuming, is just because if you want to have a lot of choice, you have to like end up making a lot of these branches. But what I'm doing at the moment, the game doesn't really have many outcomes. I could add more outcomes, but the original game basically just had one ending. So at this point, it's like, okay, here's the, we're starting the game, and we can go to the kitchen, or the living room, or the bathroom, and then eventually we'll be able to leave, but we can't do that yet. And then for the kitchen, let's say we'll have like 3 different places we can search, and then eventually, you know, they'll go back and we'll find our item, so we'll be good. And then so these kind of end up going back to the same place, which actually would point back up there. So this is not a very good graph, but I hope you get what I'm saying. Like, here's the kitchen, you can search here, and then that'll just go back here. You can search here, and that's wrong, and it'll go back there, and or you can search here, and then that will go back to the original living room state. So it's not creating extra endings for the game if you like search in the cupboard versus searching in the oven. It's just adding a little bit of extra interactivity. But the thing is, I'm not good at this. And I always figured, if I were an adventure game designer, I'd make the adventure game puzzles make too much sense, and it'd be like, well, I need to find my wallet, and I need to get my car keys, and that's the puzzle. Like, didn't put the car keys in the car. So I always like playing adventure games, but maybe I'm not very good at designing them. Okay, so what do we see in here? What would be your logic to find a weapon? Probably not the wallet. I mean, does anyone really leave their wallet in the kitchen? So, in the original game, there is a knife, and I could even have this change, like, what kind of weapon you get based on which one you find first, and then that would just maybe change the attack stat. So just, again, more choice, but without adding tons of more storytelling elements to it. So, okay, some weapons. We have a living room, we have a bathroom, and we have a kitchen. Let me open this back up again so I can kind of brainstorm, which I normally do on paper, but I'm streaming, so we'll just do this here. So we have living room, bathroom. Yeah, we can get a frying pan. So let's see, we can get frying pan. Yeah, if we wanted to be really complex, we could like get the dish soap and then be like, oh yeah, just make the lawnmowers slip, but I'm not going to get into that. So we could look at, we can get a frying pan from the oven. Let's say we can look in the sink. Maybe that's an option, and there's not really any stuff in there, just dirty dishes, so that doesn't give us a thing. And what's maybe a third option? We can look in the cabinet, and you'll usually just find like dishes and stuff. Bathroom, like scented candles. You could maybe find toilet paper. I don't know, there's not really many places to look in a bathroom. We can look in the cabinet also. We could look by the toilet for a plunger. Not that that would be a very effective weapon. Maybe that could be like 2 points of damage or something. So plunger. A loofah. Just throw loofahs at the lawnmowers. Probably wouldn't work very good. I have my cat's litter box in the bathroom, which is toxic, but maybe not. I don't really want to draw cat poop. Okay, and then the living room. Let me look at my living room. I have a TV. I have some game consoles. I have DVDs and a cat and some blankets. I don't know. We can look in some more cabinets, so that's useful. And then you can find DVDs. Look by sofa or under sofa or something. And dang, what else? Okay, so we can get a frying pan will be one weapon. A plunger will be another one. Oh, we're also looking for wallet. So maybe wallet's in under the sofa or by the sofa or something. But what else? What else could potentially be a weapon in a living room? I have a lamp. Notebooks. Piano. I don't know. Okay, well, I haven't even drawn a living room yet, so, and I'll show you my secret to drawing scenery. So in the kitchen, let's say, okay, this place is a mess, then what do we do? Where are we going to look? So we'll have search cabinets and look in sink, look in, I don't know, maybe there's a, can you oven a pan? Let's just look on oven. Or search oven, search sink. That makes it a little bit more generic. And then we have to add stuff down here. So, and because it's Python, anytime you basically have a colon, that means anything that belongs inside of this menu gets tabbed over to the right. And that's just a requirement of the Python language. So for example, if we search the oven and we find our item here, I'm going to have to tab this over even more. So it's part of the search oven option. Because this, it would be like, that's just something inside of menu. And now it's inside of search oven. So let's say Jay is going to say, this frying pan could come in handy. Could come in handy. If we search the sink, maybe just dirty dishes and silverware. And if we search the cabinets, clean dishes, food, dry food, nothing useful. Okay. So then only if you search the oven you'll get that. Now, the way this is going to flow currently is we go into this label, you show the kitchen, and this person says, oh, this is a place, this is a mess, show the menu, and they choose one, and at the moment, after they choose one, it would go back to the hallway. If we want them to be able to keep searching the kitchen, we're going to need to restructure this a little bit. Also, let me just say, go back. So if you say go back, let's go back to the hallway here. So I'm going to move this under the go back. And after they've chosen what they're looking for, I'm going to just say jump, and we'll have to add a label here. So label scene chapter 1 kitchen search, just to keep it kind of clean. So we'll jump back to the same label. So you choose one, then it goes down here, and then repeats, loops back up there. So we'll just go back to the scene hallway. Maybe in game data we'll have something like, let me just put some variables. And it's been a little while, so I think it's just like, let's have a weapon, or eventually I can make like an array of things in the inventory, but let's just say nothing as the weapon, and weapon attack is currently 0, or I don't know, you have a pillow when you first start out. So when the game starts you have a pillow. Weapon attack is 2, and then I think over here have weapon is true, and really now I can get rid of that have weapon variable, but we'll worry about that in a little bit later. Weapon is frying pan, and weapon ATK. I don't really like putting that code here, but we will do that for now. Let's just say it's 10. Okay, so now to test this out I actually have to quit and relaunch it. Where did RenPy go? Launch project. Oops, that's the old thing. Where did the... I have 2 monitors here, so sometimes it launches on the other monitor. Okay, so let's load over here. Go to the kitchen. It's a mess. So, oh, I launched it twice because it was being slow. Okay, so we'll search cabinets, nothing useful. Search the sink, dishes and silverware, search the oven. Got a frying pan. Go back. So, also it wasn't updating this, was it? So, another thing we might have to keep in mind is if I search the oven multiple times, it's going to find the oven, or the frying pan multiple times. And okay, so I want my little to-do list to come back up here, and it should have the checkbox at that point. Where is my to-do list? We'll throw this over here. So we'll do that, and let's say got frying pan. We can also add if statements in here, so let me just cancel that. If have weapon is false, then we'll do this stuff. Otherwise, else J. Actually, let's say if weapon is frying pan. That way we can say that the frying pan has been taken. So nothing else on the oven. Now, if they picked up a weapon from another place, we can worry about that a little bit later. Else if weapon... Oh, I don't remember what the symbol is in Python for not. If it's just not or whatever. Let's do else if have weapon is true and weapon is not a frying pan. And let's say I already have a weapon. Should I take this frying pan instead? And so I could add on to that also. But I'm just kind of making it more complicated than it has to be, but that's just kind of the way I like to program. You know, you could make things a lot more linear and simple. So let's say search oven. Let's just go ahead and say there's a frying pan on the oven. Oh, right, if weapon is not a frying pan. Okay, actually, let's do if have weapon is false. Thanks for checking my logic. If you don't have any weapons at all, which we'll have the pillow, but if we have no weapons, we haven't picked anything up, you'll go ahead and automatically take the frying pan. And otherwise, if you have grabbed a weapon from somewhere else, but it's not the frying pan, then it's going to say, hey, there's a frying pan, do you want to take it? And we can say menu, take frying pan, leave it alone. And then for here, I can basically just copy this over into this option. And for leave it alone, let's say J. I don't need that. Okay, and otherwise, if you've taken the frying pan, so if you have a weapon, and that weapon is the frying pan, then it will say there's nothing else on the oven. So let's go ahead and close this again. Launch. Maybe? Okay, RenPy is just really slow to reopen. Okay, load game. And go to the kitchen. Oh man, this place is a mess. Let's search the oven. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this because for that intro cutscene I wanted the text to be offset a little bit. So if I search the oven, nothing else in the oven. We have a weapon. Go back. And now there's nothing for really the kitchen or the living room. So it's time to do some art. Let me open up my design folder and GAMP. And we'll leave that open, but so design, backgrounds, I have some basic ones. I have a hallway, kitchen. Okay, I don't have anything at all for a living room, but I did email myself some pictures of my apartment, so let me see if I can still find that. Otherwise, I'll just go on Google and find something for reference. I also need to decorate this a little bit more because there's absolutely nothing going on in this hallway. So let me check my email really quick. Emails from myself. There's some grocery lists. Everything is slow. There's something about noodles. There's RenPy reference, so maybe that's it. Yeah, here's my pictures. Okay, so I have a living room. Oh, I just unplugged my keyboard. Dang it. Okay. The power is not really very good. Okay. Let me download this and open it with GIMP, and we will do some art. Edit, open with GIMP. And we will do this. I'm going to make this, let's see, maybe like that. Okay. So usually what I do is, just for background art, let's do a white layer. And then we'll, actually I need to resize this. This needs to be like a 1280 by 720. So canvas size, we want a height of 720, and then maybe that size. Okay, and I need to save this. Gamedev, design backgrounds, living room. And okay, so then I'll make a lines layer or group, and we'll do colors and lines. Let's see, how big were these lines? These are like maybe 2 or 3. So, I mean, you know, it's not supposed to look super great. It's just some backgrounds. And, you know, it ends up being the sum is greater than the parts. The whole of the sum is greater than the parts. So if I just kind of go back and add on to it, it'll look a lot better than just kind of this plain, boring thing. Okay, so can't really see my sofa so well there, but I can at least do some outlines of some other things. So let's say, let's see, where's my stylus? There we go. And I need to run a script really quick so that it will be mapped to only one screen. So, okay. That's a lot better. So, let's just kind of trace this for now and make it look a little bit better afterwards. Though, if we kind of go along with the kitchen, maybe this character is just as messy as I am. Okay, so that's kind of the tablecloth, and then we have some super great IKEA furniture underneath, so we'll just kind of trace the legs, outline, and you can't really see that side, and this one has a chair in the way, but let's say we'll do this down here, and this is going to be on the lower layer, so actually I might change how the layers are organized. But those will be like that. They don't need that table right there, so let's ignore that. We can have a nice brick wall if we want. Bookshelf, probably good. Maybe TV shelf. So again, just gotta kind of figure out the perspective, but I always kind of just prefer to use something as the background for a couple reasons. I'm not, you know, I can draw, but I'm not very creative when it comes to coming up with designs of things. So, like, if I do environment art, it's not going to be that interesting. Like, I'd have to have something for reference or something just interesting to base it on. But maybe that's how a lot of people are. Like, it's hard to just come up with something from the top of your brain. Okay. And then I can erase these lines a little bit later too, but these are the shelves. And this runs maybe back that far. And then there's another shelf right here, but you can't see it so good. But we'll just set that up that way, and I'll set up this TV. And I have a head crab up there because I didn't know where to put it. I was cleaning out my apartment, and I have all this stuff that I've had all over the years since living on my own. Just aggregate all of the things. Okay, so we'll finish this up. That's not a very good angle. And you can always go back and erase stuff and fix it up anyway. So, that's what's great about digital art. Oops. You can always erase things. And you can resize things easier than you can if it were just drawn on paper. Okay, so I think this is where the other shelf is. And then I have a pile of wires on the floor. So let's kind of go along with the same line. And this is another cabinet. And it has some other stuff on it as well. So that's kind of the basic shape there. And it's a 2-door cabinet, so I'll just kind of, even though you can't see the reference, do that. Then I'll usually take a smaller line to do finer details. Even though, I mean, this isn't going to be high, great art. It's just something to get by. Since this is just a game for fun. Okay, we have a lamp. And I'll just basically trace this lamp. We'll avoid putting Homer Simpson in the game because I don't want to get sued. Also, he's in a lovely cylinder that I crocheted, which I tried to make for my cat, and she didn't want it, so I just put it on him. And we'll shade this in. And do the lampshades in a bit. And I might skip that fireplace. I don't know. I just put everything in front of the fireplace because I don't have the patience to deal with that stuff. And okay, just have a little lampshade here. And like I wish I could turn on some music, but I don't want to get content ID'd or anything. Actually, I got content ID'd just the other day for my Action 52 fan game. So the song from the non-human game in Action 52, I put that in that game, and I got well, I guess it's not a strike. They just started adding advertisements to it, and I don't even know who the heck owns the rights to Action 52, but thanks, guys. After all these years. Now that video has ads. Okay. Kind of a crooked-looking bookshelf, but I've also been carrying around the same furniture for the past... How old am I? The past 6 years? And you can't really see the top of that, and it's covered in stuff anyway, so... Let's see. And I'll just kind of... I don't know. What's a good color for the sofa? Let's maybe go with dark green? Kind of like a sea blue, which is like an old sofa the parents used to have. Reminds me of those emo teen years where I used to just lay on the sofa and kind of like mope about life. Just stare out the window and be like, oh, why does being a teenager suck so bad? And there's the side of the sofa, but we'll just pretend that doesn't exist to make it easier. It's just a big green blob that makes it the easiest thing to draw. So, yeah, let me finish up this bookshelf side. And then I can add some stuff up there. So, on this shelf, maybe add some handles. That looks bad. I don't know. We'll do that. And then probably work on some of the smaller things just to give it some more personality. We'll leave out the bunch of wires on the floor, so let me just do item lines. I know I'm not naming my layers, but since this isn't, it's not like a big thing. If I were doing something that I'd have to maintain a lot more, art-wise, I would be naming my layers, but I don't. I'm not. Okay, so we got a lamp. Oops. Let's just maybe change up these colors a little bit. Oh, that didn't. Let's sketch that around. Nope. Control Z is nice to have. My finger's always on that button. Those buttons. Ah, dang it. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom in. Whee. And maybe the lamp base. I can't even see it in here, so I'm just gonna copy this real quick. Yeah, it's hard to see. Yeah, my apartment's a mess. I have been cleaning it because finals are done now. So, and I've graded almost everything. I just have to grade one more final and finish calculating the results for all of the students. I ended up making one of my finals too long for everybody. So, I have to kind of figure out what to count for credit and what to, I don't know, maybe just curve it or something. It's hard to write programming exams because then it's like, I can solve all this in like 5 seconds. But then the students, especially like first programming class that they've taken, just don't solve problems that quickly, as fast. So it's good to, I don't know really how to time it properly, but because it's important to cover a lot of the stuff that they should know in the exam, but also make sure that they can get it done in time so you can actually grade the stuff that they're supposed to know. Okay. What else do we got? So, what do I fill all of these cabinets with? So let's just finish doing the inside part. Maybe I'll just leave it blank and come back and add on to it later. So, if you have any suggestions for things to put in Jay's house, let me know. And I'll come back later and I'll put them in the house. So, yep. And then I beat Final Fantasy 15 the other day, and then I downloaded Final Fantasy 8, which I already have on PC, but I downloaded it on the PS3 because it's just more comfortable to play console games. Cthulhu plushie. Actually, I think you're thinking this is an Android plushie right here. It's like a squishable. Let me look that up. Squishable Android. I spelled that wrong, but it will find it anyway. Yay, big squishy Android. Yeah. So, and I have a game developer Barbie right over here. And this is just a box of moon cakes from one of the Chinese holidays. Oh, I really messed up that bookshelf, didn't I? Oh well. Modern art, right? Oh, Cthulhu. Okay. Yeah, so I can draw that sort of thing. I'll have to look up some reference. Microphone. I got some art on the wall. Let me open up Cthulhu. Let's do cute. I spelled it wrong. I'm sorry, guys. Cute Cthulhu. Okay, I can draw something like that. So, let me grab some green. I'll just do like, Doop-a-doop-a-doop. And Okay. I'll color that in a little bit. Just give a little blush. There we go. Okay, I'll probably just make the wall like a solid color or something. You can still put this game controller on the table. Same position, just some kind of nondescript game controller with 2 thumbsticks. Don't know what console that is, it's just some game controller. And you can put a can of soda. I think that adds personality, don't you? Type of person who drinks sodas and plays video games. Yeah, which is basically most people in my age range, probably. Unless you're trying to lose weight, or trying to be healthy, or just don't like soda. I do know some people who don't like bubbly drinks, or I know one person exactly who doesn't like bubbly drinks, and so does not drink soda. Me, however, I'm trying to get myself to stop associating drinking soda with doing work. So I just have a water bottle right here, but, you know, since I was a college student, I've always just drank soda while working on things, while programming or doing homework or whatever else. So it's kind of like mentally linked in my mind. So if I'm feeling like, man, this work sucks, gotta get it done, then I just want a soda. I'm trying to get away from that. And so then I like try to brew coffee or tea or something. Okay. Let me start adding in some color here. So, actually I need to kind of add some outlines to the room. Let me open where's my design folder? So the bedroom is blue, kitchen is yellowish, the hallway is also blue. All the walls in this apartment are just the standard beige with brown carpets. So, I don't know. If this is an apartment, I guess it could be like the same beige color, but it's so boring. Okay, so I'll just kind of roughly put in the floor line over here. And this room actually ends back. This is actually half the room. But let's just say that the room ends over here. So the way I have my apartment set up is, I basically have an L-shaped apartment. And my computer office, and then my living room, and then my bed, and then there's a little kitchen in a spot. Oops. Boop. Okay, I might need to start labeling these layers. Okay. So now I'm going to grab the pencil tool, which has the hard edges without any aliasing, so I can fill things in better. And I'm just going to basically fill these at different colors, and at the moment it's all going to be flat, maybe just some really basic shading. And then the floor can't be brown. That's so boring looking. I mean, this carpet's brown. Oops. We'll just use the same carpet color. I guess that's alright. Okay, so I'm going to name this background colors. And then what do we got here? We have table legs, and I don't even know what that is. This is part, I should just kind of merge these all together, so let me, oops, erase this stuff here, and this is already overlapping some of the tables, so we'll just kind of fix that up a little bit. And I'll erase this part back here. And anything else? Oh, that bookshelf looks awfully, I don't know, flat or inside of the wall, so we'll fix that too. Merge down. These are some furniture lines. merge down. And what is this one? That's the sofa. So we'll have these all on the same layer. So furniture lines. Let me make that go away. Oh, yeah, this looks really flat because this actually comes out a little bit. It's a brick wall, so now I have to rely on my own quote-unquote skills to draw that at the proper perspective. Okay, let's do furniture colors. And let me do some fixing over here. So this was maybe a size of 3. And kind of redraw that line. And clean that up, and all of these things. Whee. And over here, I'll just be like, draw happy bookshelves. No. So, yep, this is... Art takes a long time. There is free art that you can find for visual novel type of things on the Linasoft forums. Let me look that up in a second. But you'll be able to find stuff that's just public domain or whatever. Is it Linasoft? Maybe it's Limasoft? I don't know what that is. Public domain visual novel art. Limasoft. So if you go in here, go to the front part, there's you can ask for help, you can find Creative Commons resources and some other stuff. So that could be good for just if you're just doing something to learn, or if you're wanting to kind of use one thing and then replace it later. So there are varying qualities. I'll draw my own art just because it's hard to find art with a consistent style. Yeah, it's just, like, especially with characters, because, like, everyone has different styles, and so it's hard. Just some people draw multiple emotes, and some people draw one, or change different poses based on what they're emoting, or whatever else. So, but it's decent for just getting something done. Okay, let me also erase this line. And we'll keep going with furniture colors. So, generally, I'll make like the top of a thing a lighter color, but I'm not really putting any actual color theory into this. I'm just like, well, I guess the lights are up, so we'll put the lighter shaded parts of the environment facing up. Why is the... Oh no, I merged the wall lines with the furniture lines. That sucks. Oops. So I'll have to go back and fix that. Furniture colors, so then anything that is also normal, has the same normal, basically I'll just color these in the same color. And have to fix those wall lines later. Yay. And then the colors for the items I'll just put on a layer on top of these lines to make it easier. So, yep, making background art. And then I can show you the character art as well, what I've done so far. That tends to be a bit easier because it's easier to just freehand it. Especially, if it's doing like cartoony characters and stuff. And at the moment my characters just have one pose and then change their faces. Which, if I were doing a bigger game, I would do something a little bit more interesting looking. Okay. So, for the front facing side, I guess I'll do a little bit darker. And we'll just color that in. And maybe use a bigger brush so I don't have to overlap a bunch of lines. Kind of, you know, something. And yep. Okay, and then off on this side, we'll just make that even darker. So like that. And again, the great thing about digital art is you can go back and erase things if you went over the lines. So that's nice. And then the same for these since they are facing the same direction. So, and then, I don't know, that could be even darker back here or something. Kind of like a little cubby hole. Even though on mine it's an open back, which helps when putting your game consoles in there. Boop, doop, doop, doop. Yep, this is making games for, and usually when I'm making games, especially if I'm doing game art, since game art for me doesn't take like a whole bunch of brain power, whereas programming, if I'm trying to solve like a problem, I need to be able to focus, so I usually need silence for that. But if I'm just doing game art, I'll usually watch some Let's Plays or something, just watch the story of a different game while I'm making art for my own game. Oops, I held down the shift button, and then GIMP did that. But sometimes it's like I don't have enough Let's Plays to watch. I don't know what to watch while working on things. But it's nice and relaxing. When I was 12, around the age when I made the original Attack of the Mutant Lawnmowers, I would stay up late and listen to the radio station. The Kansas City, like the Buzz or whatever. And I had a computer, but I didn't have internet on that computer. It had like 3 gigs of memory, not memory, hard drive space, and Visual Basic 5, and I would just stay up late at night and make games. They weren't very good, they weren't very well programmed, but, you know, good memories. Okay, so now we have that shaded. But I completely messed up the furniture lines, which sucks. So I'd have to go back and like manually erase all of these messed up lines, or just redraw the furniture lines or something like that. But annoying. I should have done a better job. Okay, so this is kind of boring and tedious. Just yep. Doop, 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 doop. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna fix these lines, but I might do that at a different time. Okay, so that's how I ended up with this sort of thing. Or let me open up my kitchen. There it is here. So this one, you know, this one actually took me a while to make, more so because of all of the items sitting around, but if we show the reference, there's the reference part, and then I drew the scene lines around it. Let me get it with reference. So then those are the scene lines, and then the item lines, and then added in the colors for the kitchen and the items, and so that's what it ended up like. And the shading is really lazy shading. I just took this tool and increase the size, and then based on what you're on, you can kind of hold control and make it darker, or not hold anything and make it lighter, and kind of adjust how it does these things, which isn't the most aesthetically pleasing way of shading something, but that's just what I decided to do for that specific scene. Yeah. And then for this bedroom, where is it? I sometimes just grab pictures off Google of like bedrooms and use it as reference for drawing the room lines and stuff like that. and the what is it called? The dimensions, the perspective of the furniture, and then try to make it more unique and stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to show off characters as well. So at this point I just have different heads and then the same body, except I have one of these layers has like the character asleep, so it has like the bed sheets or something. Yeah, there it is. Where they have their penguin plushie and blanket and stuff. So, but I can basically just an extra set of lines and then colors for those lines. And, you know, if I wanted to be fancier, I could redraw the entire body for certain poses, but at the moment this is fine and dandy for my purposes. The head is separate from the body, and then again, if I were going to make it more dynamic, I would make the arms on a different layer as well. That I just have this in the background as reference for the size of the other character I drew. And yeah. So, and then you can see that there's a thicker outline around the character, and then the inner lines are a thinner type of line. And I haven't shaded it at all, just because that would take some extra time, so. Okay, so I did some game art, I showed some scripting, and it's a little bit tedious making games without any music or videos going on, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop streaming, but hopefully that was interesting, and it's really easy to get started with RenPy. So actually let me go here and show you some tutorials. So if you go to RenPy or RenPy, there's the documentation, and it just has a nice quick start section. It runs for Windows and Linux and Mac, and then it just shows, here's some text, like narrator text or something. And then how to define characters, so just step by step. They use single letter variable names, but I like to write them out, so it's like, you know, Sylvie says this, me says that. And then loading in your images, setting character color names, and showing people, hiding people, doing simple transitions. So it's a really good place to get started, and it has a lot of information. The documentation is really good. Labels and jumps, so if you wanted to have your sort of menu and then jump to different sections based on what the person chooses. It has a little bit on an if statement and how to release it, and it has 2 example programs as part of RenPy as also. Where is it? So the tutorial doesn't open for some reason, but it has like a lot of the how you do different dialogue window things and effects. But this is the sample game that it shows in the this here. And so it's a really simple game, but if you just want to make kind of like an interactive novel, this is really loud. It's good for that. To ask her right away. And this is, it looks like a photo that's just been like run through some sort of filter for the background. Be my artist for my visual novel. It's a story game. So yeah, you can close that, quit. I could, I'm not going to open it up. I was working on another game a few years ago, and I started working on a pie game, mini game inside of that game. But because I was working on it a few years ago, and RenPy has come out with more versions since then, it currently like doesn't really build or doesn't run, so it's be hard to show. But yes, so lots of stuff, lots of resources, and then those message boards, a lot of community support groups for working on games, whether you're doing art or wanting to do programming or music or just doing stuff for fun. But yeah, So I'm either going to work on this or maybe going to go play some other video games or something. But thanks for watching. Hopefully that was relatively fun. Okay.